think educators are not on Twitter. Those who are not on Twitter, comes down to two things. It's fear and misconceptions. Sometimes
fear and misconception. That is what educator Dan from New Jersey says is a reason or reasons that educators are not connected. They're not on Twitter. They don't use social media for professional development. I'm Mark Barnes, and this is another episode of the Hack Learning Podcast. And today we are hacking connected education. So we want to talk about connected educators, and we want to look at those who are not connected. And what we really want to hack is that problem, the unconnected educator, because it's a problem because being connected today is so important. So Dan, an experienced educator, school leader, and a connected teacher and learner, says that fear is a big part of the reason that teachers don't connect. Let's listen to what another connected educator and thought leader, Colin, says about the unconnected educator.
Avoid Twitter as a PD tool for a multitude of reasons, but I think one of the reasons is the vulnerability, the putting themselves out there in fear of ridicule in terms of their ideas being challenged. Some educators have a hard time with that.
Again, fear, vulnerability, putting themselves out there. So Colin says that a lot of disconnected or unconnected educators may feel that if they put themselves out there, and that's what you do on social media, that's what we do on Twitter, we share ideas, we join rich conversations about teaching and learning, we try to get better, we share links, we click on those links as content curators and we read the information that's there, and oftentimes it's a blog post, it's an article from a reputable source like Edutopia, and we look at that and it provides best practices and tips for improvement, and we go back into school the next day and say, let's give this a try. A lot of the bloggers, education bloggers who are writing these posts and putting them out there, they're doing, as Colin says, they're taking a risk. They're vulnerable. And a lot of people have that fear. So what do we do about this? How are we going to change this concept, this feeling of fear, vulnerability, avoidance, wondering if there will be backlash, whether it's from the community or from administrators, and what are we going to do to find the unconnected educator and to help that person plug in to the amazing professional development opportunities that are available 24/7 on Twitter and other social networks. So we need some steps to help an unconnected person connect. Now, I think oftentimes I've been in conversations on Twitter where people talk about this and say, I don't know why people don't get on Twitter, or I try to tweet at people and say, hey, you should be more involved on Twitter, or I tell my Facebook friend, hey, you should get more involved in the professional development and the conversations on Twitter. The problem is these people are already unconnected. Maybe they're on Facebook sharing pictures of their family and their friends and the vacation photos, but they don't understand the value of Twitter as this rich place for conversation and for connected learning. And we can't plug in this person if we try to do it through social networking and they're not using social networks. So what we need, this amazing hack learning philosophy that we have, is we need right now strategies. What can we do to find these people? If we're educators, we're surrounded by them already, but how do we get them to the place that we know this incredible opportunity exists? Let's see what Colin says.
2 or 3 things unconnected educators could do to get connected today. One, I would start with finding a hashtag that matches something they're involved with, whether it's hashtag math ed, whether it's hashtag iPad ed, Jerry Blumengarten would be a great resource there. I think he has it's at Cyberman1, I think. He has plenty of resources in terms of all the hashtags and their times. And I wouldn't even get involved with that hashtag. I would lurk for a while, kind of see what it has to give to me, look at the resources on there. And then as time progresses, step number 2 is join a chat. Sign into the chat, say who you are, follow the chat, maybe answer the questions, but not post them. And then
So Colin says we need to find these teachers who are unconnected, and we need to help them because they don't understand how Twitter works. So he talks about hashtags. So let's get this person on Twitter and let's say, here's where the conversations are, because most people don't understand that. If people are new to Twitter or those who have maybe signed up for a Twitter account and then done very little with it, they don't really understand exactly what the hashtag does. So Colin says, let's go to these people and let's get them on Twitter and let's show them the conversation. And there's so many ways to do this. This could be done in a professional development session in a school building, where one of these amazing connected educators could say, pull up their Twitter account and put it onto an interactive whiteboard and say, let's take a look at this chat. Maybe go to hashtag Hack Learning and take a look at this ongoing chat on Twitter where people are talking about things like this and they're solving these problems and they're providing links to valuable resources. So this is a couple of strategies, he says. And I like how he says, let's just go to the hashtag. You don't have to jump right in. You can lurk. And lurking's okay on Twitter. Lurking is I'm there. I'm watching. I'm reading. Maybe I'm clicking the links. But I'm still not at the point where I'm ready to tweet. That first tweet can be pretty harrowing. And I'm going to lurk on these, and then I'm going to go in, and maybe the first thing I'm going to do is just say who I am. Hey, I'm Mark Barnes. I'm joining this chat because I want to learn, so I'm going to be here lurking. And you'll see that people will they'll make you feel good right away. They'll say, hey, welcome aboard. We're excited that you're here. There's much learning to be done, because that's how connected educators are. That's why they connect, because they want to learn, but they also want to help. So that's a really important piece. Let's take a listen to Dan, who we've heard from already about, he talked about the fear that people have. Let's see what he says about some simple strategies to plug in the unconnected educator.
For the second group that really has the fear and the misconceptions, they need a little bit of hand-holding. So I think 2 things work. Number 1 is give it a purpose. Create a school hashtag for one thing. Share a positive thing that happened in your classroom or in school today, and make it simple so they're only tweeting 1 time a day. And then you can build on that once people have accounts and they see everything, and do a Twitter challenge. So it could be 12 days around the holidays or any other time, a 12-day Twitter challenge where you provide the questions or the prompts for everyone to respond to for 12 days in a row. Just
time progresses, get involved.
So, again, here's a simple strategy, and all it needs is someone in a school who's connected to take the lead. And connected educators are always willing to lead, I find. So they go into school, create a hashtag for your school. This makes it a little private. Sure, other people could see it, but they'd have to know that it exists. And then you share this with your teachers who are not active on Twitter. And you say, look at how this works. Have a few people tweet to the hashtag. Again, put it up on a whiteboard. Show them how those tweets aggregate and show up immediately, creating this rich conversation. And then the Twitter challenge. What a great way to get people excited. People like a challenge. You know about Fitbit, I'm sure. And this isn't a promo for Fitbit, but my wife's a big fan of Fitbit, and she wears the Fitbit and she walks, and the Fitbit counts her steps. We know there's an app with Fitbit now where you can challenge your friends and set a time and say who walks the most steps within that time frame. I love that because people like a challenge, they like a contest, and that's one that helps you get healthy. So let's take a Twitter challenge in school and say, okay, this week our challenge is we'd like to tweet one thing that happened in your classroom each day. Or if each day is too much, start with 2 or 3 days a week and say, here's something I did today. Here's something a student did. This worked really well. Now, think of that combination of professional development. Not only are people getting connected, which is fantastic, and it's what we want, but now we're creating this back channel of professional development because people, like-minded people who are invested in the same group of kids because they work in the same building, they're providing assets. They're saying, here's what happened today. And sooner or later, those people will start supplying links to great things, maybe pictures of things in their classroom, and you can really build this out. And that person who started the challenge and showed the people the hashtags and got them to understand the conversation on Twitter, they can continue to increase the challenge. And this will do a couple of things as well. It'll build capacity for the connected educator because they'll want to be involved. And it'll build capacity for learning because people will start to give more. This will be an incredible platform for your school once you build this out and you continue it over time and constantly encourage your teachers to be involved and to be connected. This has been Hacking the Connected Educator or Connected Education, and what better way to continue this discussion than to tweet your thoughts to hashtag HackLearning on Twitter. Talk about what you're doing to plug in educators who may be disconnected. If you have different ideas from the ones our experts shared. And as always, you can comment at hacklearning.org and on our Hack Learning Facebook page. Thanks for listening. See you next time.